Hello, are we live? Can anyone hear us?
I probably should have shared it on our Facebook. I have Facebook.
Okay, I think we're live. Let me get out here so I can read the comments. Can you guys hear us? Okay, awesome. Well, we wanted to thank you to coming for this Wednesday Wheelscapes. We are broadcasting from parts unknown of North America, south of the border and pretty close to the border. Hey, Dan. Hey, Shift. Hey, Scott. Hey, Adam. Hey, Rick. See who else is here. We'll say hi to everybody. Hey, Billy and Amanda, Sunday Slot Cars. Hey, Tom. All right.
Oh, hold on one second.
How's everybody's week going? I got some questions here I'm going to ask. There we go. We're set now. We are having fun, Zim. We are having fun, always. I will show this while we're waiting on young Mr. Daniel. This was purchased in an auction. Let's see here. Can I do the solo thing? There we go. This was purchased as an auction at Scott's House of Racing. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm trying a way to hold it better. Let me switch the lights up. Okay. Hey, Juan. That's pretty bright too, huh? All right, let's turn these lights on then. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, how are you, Daniel?
I'm doing good, and I can understand you a lot better. My wife was
Awesome.
watching Netflix, and so she was robbing the internet.
Yeah, we had, for years and years when we moved, we got a little house outside of Little Rock. And for probably the first 6 years we lived here, we had almost as bad dial-up internet. And then about 2 years ago, more and more people moved out and they offered the fiber internet. So now it's the kids can play Oculus and Fortnite and Rust and all that. Hey, Kenny, how are you? So
it seems like we got everybody in here.
I know, right? So do you want to introduce yourself and kind of tell everybody that may not know how you came to be in the slot car world?
I got forced into it because I moved to Mexico. My dad's Professor Tinker, but I was a painter before, and essentially I learned that I needed to learn Spanish to succeed in the painting world, and I decided to move to Mexico to pursue that. And in doing so, I met a young lady, and things progressed, and I found myself with a child and wanting to marry this young lady, which my government right now won't let me. But that's that's a whole other thing. So either way, in this process of waiting and being in another country, my brother offered me a job and was like, "Hey, Daniel, I understand where you're at. You either got to come back and paint so many months and yada yada, or maybe I can offer you like an online deal where you work for us online and help us kind of manage our online side of things. And so here I am in Mexico being attacked by ants doing the online side of things. If you have further questions, I can go into anything more deeper, but that's kind of like the short span
How
of it.
that ended up.
Is,
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. So
What
that's
do
where that
you
is.
what is your favorite slot car brand?
Well, I'm a little biased because like I'm a huge fan of the Mayflower myself, and I love the trucks. AFX used to make trucks. AFX could be awesome, I would say. However, they're just not very imaginative anymore, and they kind of just stopped doing anything creative. They make a great car every once in a while, and then that's all you get from them. Where Auto World, at least they're giving us something. As far as mass merchandise or mass, markets, I love these GT40 bodies. This is like probably my favorite body.
Is that the AFX or Auto World? That's Auto World, right?
Yeah, this is from the Speed vs. Endurance. And then I forget what series this is from, but these are from a Cars and Coffee series.
Nice.
But I really like
I
the
have that blue
T-Jet
one.
a lot. Beautiful car, and they're done with that. That was the first set I got was the Speed vs. Endurance.
Nice.
I hate that Chaparral though. I think that's an ugly. Even the real life one, I think it's an ugly car. I don't care if it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
think it's
they're really tiny. Those chaparrals are really to scale. I would guess they're probably like a 184 or 180 or something. They're really smaller than most of the rest. And
well,
even
the
the
GT40 is a super small car.
yeah.
That thing's a tiny little thing. But I just think it's been really cool what we've been able to do with our exclusives that which one's the Adam one? Adam's Meat Market. Here, Adam likes this one. This is his car. It's just cool. It's the TJ has so many different bodies for it that already exist, and so many performance parts out there exist for it. And why AFX ever got away from it, I don't know the whole backstory behind that. But giving up on the TJ, I think, was a really bad idea. That's just such a good platform, and so that's why I'll just have to go with Auto World because they're the only ones doing the T-Jet in mass. Obviously, you got the what's that one brand? We carry a couple of their chassis, the Wizard or whatever. Is it? No, it's not
Wizard,
Wizard. No, TJK
TF,
or something like
TFX, TFK, I think.
yeah, TFK. I've used their chassis once, and they seem to be pretty nice. But so that's but they're pretty limited runs, and per chassis, I think we got to sell them at like I don't know. I think they're like $30 a chassis or something like that. That's without a body, and so I think it's just fun taking an Auto World chassis, kind of fixing it up a little bit, and going from there. I haven't really gotten into modding super much, aside from taking the magnet out for the magnetless races. We got Silent Mike, who's got me thinking about trimming down my tires to get that center of gravity down.
That's awesome.
So oh my goodness, they're all over the place. Yeah, it's been raining a lot lately, so the ants are coming in, and there's like
happens.
it's
That happens
awful.
here too when it rains a lot. They flood into the kitchen.
There's no food here though. That's the thing. Oh, there's my Mexican Coke here.
Are there any exclusives that have helped boost slot car sales in the store dramatically? Any of the exclusives you guys have sold, the slot cars?
So the biggest exclusive. So if you just want to talk exclusives for a second, the biggest exclusives were obviously the first two, and then the red Batmobile was another huge one. Those were kind of like the main exclusives, and then really the biggest thing that happened was even with so like in 2022, we released like 12 of them, which was unprecedented. Nobody's released 12 exclusives. And at the same time of us releasing 12 exclusives, Auto World's like, hey, we're going to start releasing a bunch of exclusives too. And so I think what happened as far as the exclusive idea, they became less exclusive because now they're just normal releases at this point. Even if they're limited print runs, this year they don't seem limited. Just based on that, if you get what I mean by that.
I do.
So like when these are gone, they're going to be exclusive again. But until they're gone, they don't seem that exclusive. And so releasing 12, while Auto World released they released like three pack, or I think in 2022 they released three packs and like 4 singles. And then not to mention there was a couple other people that kind of hopped on the bandwagon, along with Bob Beers doing his AFX exclusives. Mm-hmm. So like you have just like everybody making exclusives now. Now they're a little bit less special, at least for this year. I think that's going to change immensely in years to come. For example, this 2-pack, once we kind of build an even bigger name for ourselves, which how we built the name we have is beyond me. Maybe it's because my dad's just that crazy. And we're just, he's genuine. I think that's why people really like my dad is he's not acting and he's just genuine. And so we just have all these stupid little cars that we just have a ton of fun with. And that's the thing, we're like actually having fun with them. So that's kind of the thing. I think that separates a lot of people. They'll take their like exclusives and set them up in their nice little boxes. And here I am. I have all mine out, and my dad has all his out. Ryan is probably the biggest collector.
Really?
I have my dad calling. I think he's calling just to interrupt, but I'm using my phone as the web screen or the webcam.
That was
I can't actually.
Is he gonna make you take it?
What's that? He doesn't understand that I can't answer because my phone's the webcam.
Gotcha.
I think he wants to come in and kind of interrupt the stream like he did with he'll sometimes. Well, I'm live streaming. He'll sometimes call me and kind of like interrupt it. No Starlink, Danny. No, I don't have any Starlink. I just texted Brian a picture of Daniel and Matt. He called me and cracking up. He's being interviewed. Yeah. Well, that's what I said too. I'm like, I'm like 3 years fresh, or not even 3 years. Like it's like 2.5 years fresh in the slot cars. I'm like, I'll do an interview. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have anything better to do. I'm just in Mexico. I think my story is interesting enough. And then while I'm doing my story, like my dad started like buying a bank and starting a toy store and has all these Auto World exclusives. And I'm just like, I don't know what they're doing down there. And, but like, it's all working out really well for us. And so I think I got a little bit off topic. You were kind of asking about the exclusives.
No, it's fine.
The red Batmobile obviously was a huge one. The next one, the one that we're almost out of right now is if you haven't gotten this one, like you got to get it before the end of the year. If you want it, like if you don't want it, don't get it, obviously. But this one's gone. If you've been, I raised the price on this a little bit, but if you're a club member, just email me and I'll give you the original $39.99 price on it. If you're a club member, along with your discount. And that goes with all the exclusives. If you're a club member and you don't have one of the exclusives and somehow there's a price increase or something, just email me and I'll make sure you get the original pricing on those.
Dan at Slot Valley is asking when you started with the store.
At what point did Danny start with the store? It was So my thing with moving to Mexico, I was like, I told my boss at the time with painting, I'm moving to Mexico until I run out of money or I learn Spanish. And my boss was kind of like, okay, have fun with that. And I kind of told him that as like, hey, do you want to help fund this? And he didn't seem interested, which was fine. You know, that I don't know. I don't know who I was thinking he would be. Uh, but at the same time, me learning Spanish was super valuable to him. So that's kind of why I thought it would be valuable for, you know, it'd be like sending an employee to school for a little while on something. And that's kind of what I looked at it as. And either way, I end up going, and that was like the year after COVID. And, you know, that my dad and brother were already kind of moving along with things. And I told them, I don't know, I really like painting and things are going good up here. I just need to learn Spanish. That was the biggest thing holding me back from like really wanting to stay there longer. And, so I'm kind of get lost in my story here, but essentially we ended up I ended up not working with them right away because they were still trying to figure things out. Obviously, we're still trying to figure things out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to learn Spanish. And so I sell everything I own. I get on my motorcycle. I pack up my motorcycle with everything that I needed that I didn't sell and with 2 spare tires. And I just head down to Mexico.
From
And
from Ohio?
from Ohio, yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
It,
Sorry.
well, what was even funnier is everybody was like, okay, Daniel, so you sold everything you own. You had a little pocket of money. That's fine. What if you get in an accident right away? And I was like, well, I'll be stuck in Mexico and I'll be doing exactly what I want to be doing is learning Spanish. And it just so happened the first day in Mexico, I rear end a trailer going 90 and the trailer was going like 30 up a hill. And I have no idea how I survived that. I did. But my motorcycle, most motorcycle, like if you imagine my palms as the wheels, my motorcycle kind of did this thing. And the only thing that stopped it from going further was the engine. So it like stopped on the engine. That's what kind of saved it. So here I am on top. My head went into the back of the trailer. My bike went into the back of the trailer and then it decompressed and stopped. And then I slowly rode off. I didn't even like fall off the bike at all until like I actually drove off the road because of a lot of pain in a certain region. I'm not gonna go into that on that. It's a little gross. And essentially I was fine. Like aside from some bruising, the motor saved me and my helmet saved me. So like wear your gear, guys. If you guys are into motorcycles, wear your gear. At GAT, if you guys are motorcycle guys, you know what that means. All the gear all the time, I think. I don't know. It's like wear your gear.
Yes.
And so either way, I get the bike fixed. I end up there. I was talking to a girl because I've been to Mexico before, and with I drove a Mexican back from home during Corona. That he was ready to retire. And he was just like, "Hey, drive me home, and I'll fly back." And for whatever reason, I did, and I lived with him for a month and really liked it down here. That's kind of why I got like the love for Mexico kind of thing going on. And yeah, so that's like I can keep going on about that, but that's kind of where. So now you can kind of see, like I'm here in a place where I don't really have an income. I got to figure out how am I gonna like provide for myself because now I'm like talking to this girl. Things went really quick. I basically was at
They
a
always
place. I was in the
do.
middle of Mexico. Yeah, well, I kind of told myself I was like, I'm not really looking to date. I just want to find a wife kind of thing. And I was in the middle of Mexico getting my motorcycle fixed. It was like 2 weeks staying at my friend's sister's house. He has a sister that lives in San Juan del Rio, which, if you guys know where that is, it's in Querétaro, which is the smack dab middle of Mexico. I crashed in San Luis Potosi, if you guys know where that is. It's like 3 hours north of the middle of Mexico. the girl I'm talking to is all the way in Nayarit, which is 7 hours west, and my destination is 7 hours east in Kalipa. And so I was kind of just talking to her generally, not really romantically, like, hey, sometime we'll meet up. And I basically text her like the Sunday my motorcycle got fixed after 2 weeks. Was like, hey, what are you up to? And before I said, what are you up to? I was like, hey, I'm probably not going to come. I'm probably just going to go to Kalipa, and maybe on my way out of Mexico, I'll stop by and say hi. And she was like, okay, that makes sense because you just crashed your motorcycle and you don't really know how far you can go on it. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I actually have the day off. And I just text her back, boy, this world's a silly place, isn't it? And I ended up headed to Jalisco, which is where on the way to Nayarit. And got like halfway there, texted her my location, was like, hey, make sure you're very hungry. And she was like, oh, wow, you're coming. And I'm like, yeah, you want me to, right? And she's like, heck yeah. And so, and like before going, I basically prayed, and I did like one of those like Jacob things with the well with God. I was like, hey, if she comes back to Kalipa with me, I'll marry her. Like I did that kind of thing. With there's like a Bible story about like this guy who's like trying to find a wife or something. I forget it exactly, but like he was like, let me know if this is the girl or not. And the way he got was like, okay, hey, if this girl washes your clothes, that's the girl that you got to bring back to. It was like he was bringing them back to somebody. I don't know. You guys look into that. But either way, I did a similar thing. And so we go out to the center town, and she's like, wow, you don't speak any Spanish. I'm like, no, not at all. I told you that. I reminded you like 3 times. I've been using a translator. And so she calls up her cousin who speaks some English, and her cousin's like, hey man, I'll have her take her day off. I'll have her take a day off tomorrow. How about you stay the night here and take her to Puerto Vallarta tomorrow, which is like it's kind of like a fancy kind of like beach town that's like 2 hours away from them. So I'm like, all right, yeah, that sounds fun. And she hops on my motorcycle the next day. We have breakfast, and we head to Puerto Vallarta. We went to like a couple other unknown locations that are just like smaller around the area, but we ended up going to Puerto Vallarta, having a great day. And we basically, I got her back, and she was about to go home, and I was like, all right, so you're gonna go back to Kalipa with me? And she's like, how would I do that? I'm like, well, you want to be my girlfriend? And went from that to that to that, and then shortly after, she came back to Kalipa, so I was like, well, I'm gonna marry her now, because I kind of made that promise with God in that sense where like, hey, if this happens, I'm gonna take that as a sign and I'm gonna act on it. And
Sometimes
still
you
to
give us
this,
neon signs.
yeah, and sometimes we just gotta do stuff, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of Christians out there that just like don't act on anything, and they're just like, yeah, that was God's will. And I'm like, well, you didn't do anything. So, like,
Yeah.
sure, I guess.
You got to take that leap of faith.
Yeah. And so far it's turned out great. She's, we have a beautiful baby, and she's pregnant again. And
Congratulations.
yeah,
Congratulations
so
on that.
aside from being like stuck here, we're like doing really good. But being stuck here means my Spanish gets better.
Yeah. You still
So
get
like
to run the
yeah.
online part of the store,
And I would never have spent the time to understand any of that if I wasn't here. It's so boring and not fun at all, but it's stuff I need to know. And so it's kind of like I'm stuck in school right now, being forced to like learn stuff. So like I'm like, okay, web management. I now have to do that. And I like make myself a schedule every morning. Like spend an hour doing this, spend an hour doing this, spend an hour doing this. And accumulation of all that I, kind of learned stuff. Same with Spanish. I I've gotten to the point where I've like learned enough Spanish where I'm content, and I got to break myself out of that bubble. Like I have to tell myself, okay, spend an hour trying to like actually actively talk about stuff you don't know with these people and stuff like that. So it's been challenging and fun and interesting. But that being in that bubble was kind of what got Ryan to kind of start talking to me about getting more interested in Tinkers and getting more involved with him and Dad.
Speaking of that, can you discuss the role of online sales and its
So
influence on the overall sales? That like it's the bulk of your sales, right?
yeah, online we definitely wouldn't have moved our exclusives in the manner that we did without online. Now coming towards Christmas time, we get a lot of walk-in because we're a toy store in the middle of nowhere. So like people from, you think middle of nowhere is bad, but like middle of nowhere means you're in the middle of everywhere. And like people looking for a toy store, like they're coming from, obviously you guys don't know the general area, but they're coming from like all the major cities around, right? So like we got people driving an hour and a half sometimes just to come to our toy store.
Well, isn't that how Adam came about? I mean, because he only lived about an hour and a half away, right? And I need to real quick. I need to thank Adam because he put Danny and I in touch this morning, so we could
Right, yeah.
make this
Adam's
possible.
one of our he's one of our secret employees. He like
He is.
doesn't know he's actually working for us.
He's like one of the adopted brothers, you know.
That's kind of what it feels like.
What is
You know,
your? Are you the middle, youngest?
I was the middle original. So
Gotcha.
I was like the most spoiled, but I was also the middle child. So I got in the most trouble. So
I
do you have
also
a do you,
middle child.
oh, so were you the most spoiled and also the Adam H. Young?
Adam H. Young. No, I don't know about the spoiled part. I was definitely the most in trouble, but that was because I did dumb things. So
Yeah, that's what you can't do sometimes.
yeah,
You
exactly.
have to do the dumb things to realize they're dumb.
Well, yeah, and I have 5 kids now, and I have some kids that generally will make the good decisions, and then some that just will make the wrong decision, for fun. So it's kids, it's parenthood, right?
Yeah, I haven't had to deal with that yet because mine's always cute right now because he's under a year. Um, he hasn't gotten into the evil stuff yet.
Oh, you'll
He,
get there.
he's just he's just 100% cute 100% of the time.
Well, what'll happen is it'll be, how's that saying goes? What was cute? I can't remember. I'll have to ask my dad. I'll text it to you. But it's some saying, and it's basically you let them get away with a lot when they're little because it's cute, and then it turns around to be like horrible thing they do when they're older. And it's like it's not cute anymore. But that's like 5, 6 years old when they get that. I can't remember the saying. I can't. Here's a good question. Daniel, do you think the trade shows get you guys business?
Trade shows are weird. Trade shows are definitely something we want to grind. We just sell stuff at such low margins that it's kind of like it's interesting because like you're supporting your brand. It's hard because like you're selling stuff at such low margins, kind of with the idea that people are going to hear about you more for more exposure. So you're kind of paying for exposure, kind of, and you don't always see the net gain of that exposure when you're selling stuff so cheap occasionally. So like if you really want some good deals on stuff, you guys really got to make it to shows because you can really get some good deals at shows. But it's also there's like another third element where like it's really cool because what I hate about online is people really disconnect from the people they're buying from. So like a lot of people I buy from, I like buying from because I like knowing that the money I worked hard to get is going to go to somebody I know is going to do good things with it, right? So like as far as supporting pro tinkers, I like people to buy from us that want their money to go to supporting the hobby of slot cars because I feel like we do quite a lot for slot cars, and so like
I
that's where I
agree.
kind of want their heart to be at. Not necessarily that like, okay, hey, I bought this exclusive from Pro Tinkers and it was like $3 more than I wanted to pay. It's like, no, I bought this slot car from Pro Tinkers And I know with the proceeds that they're going to keep investing in this hobby that I love. And it's true. Like, there's no doubt about it. We're going to keep putting money into this hobby that we all love. And that's kind of like my mindset with everything. And so online, that barrier is harder to manage. Not manage, you want to break down that barrier. And that's where the live stream helps a lot, because you guys can actually see my dad, see the guy you're supporting. Maybe some days you don't want to support him, but you see like who he is, and he does it every day. And if he was acting, he wouldn't be able to keep up the act that long, right? Like, you see him constantly, and that's what helps break that barrier. But also, trade shows is another one of those avenues where you can kind of get those personal connections. Like, for example, a guy named David Wilson. I'm sure you guys see him on the chat all the time. I finally got to meet David Wilson. I've talked to him on the phone, but like, I finally got that facial connection, and that was awesome. And there's a bunch of other guys like that, where if you're doing these trade shows yearly, all over the place, like, you actually start building a connection with the people that are supporting you. And I like that. And I know my dad does too, even if he doesn't remember anybody's name. Like, don't take that as an insult. If he remembers your name, I would think that's weird. Look at it like that.
I've been in and out since 2020, and he still has a hard time with my name sometimes. So that's not it. And I'm kind of the same way. So it's not. I get it.
He doesn't know my name. I think guys are weird who remember each other's names. That's all. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, he's got a lot of kids. That's easy to start rifling through all the names when you're, Daniel, Ryan, Lincoln, Mark, David. I mean, you just get lost in it, right?
Slap Valley. Oh, Slap Valley Racing says, he remembers my name. Well, that's because your name's easy, because it's it's my name. It's great that PTT fan does, but price is a big factor in where people will spend their money. It's less of a factor than you think. People who really care about the hobby, like, put their money where they think it's accurate. Like, there's plenty of stores that have better prices than us that are using slot cards as a loss leader, and like, we still get sales. So like, obviously people know that, like, if they're going to be supporting a place that's using their hobby as a loss leader, like, that's not going to go anywhere good for the hobby, because it's a loss leader. It's like, okay, their obviously investment is not in slot cards if they're not making any money on the slot cards they're selling. And that's why we're in business too. Like, we try to keep our prices, we definitely try to stay competitive and whatnot, and we try to give good deals. Like, if you look, the guys still haven't taken down the Black Friday deals, and our Black Friday deals are pretty insane. A lot of stuff we're making zero money on. Like, we're just moving product. By the way, the Tinker 10, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's still giving 20% off right now. Somebody forgot to change that back to 10. Just throwing it out there, club members.
Well, don't tell whoever's in charge of that.
I'm the one in charge of that. But no, I thought I would leave it going for the rest of the week. So
thank you. We talked about the exclusives, right? But and you kind of dovetailed into a question I have, and you'd mentioned that Auto World then jumped on the exclusives, and there were some other people, and Bob Beers put out the competition pack. How do you stay ahead of the curve and maintain your competitive edge in the market the way you guys have? Do you contribute that to the stream and in the community that's been built around that?
Yeah, a lot of we have a core customer group that really like dealing with us. They like that even if we don't get the stuff out the quickest, they like that we try our hardest to get everything we promise. And then if we don't ever like there's one customer I have that we were short a little bit on a pre-order, and we're still waiting on completing that pre-order. He is secure in knowing that we're gonna still get it to him. even if it's been an extended period of time. So like just knowing that we do offer a pretty good customer service in that area is kind of where I think we really kind of push ahead of others. And dealing with my dad is actually entertaining as much as like it's fun. He cares about like the business and he cares about the customer, even if he's yelling at you on the phone. Like he's like yelling because he generally cares, you know. So that's the thing. All these other people doing stuff like exclusives. Sometimes I'll see an exclusive that I'm like, man, I wish we did that. But at the end of the day, if they're investing in exclusives, they're investing in a hobby that we all love. And I'm like, would you please do more? You know, like, I don't care if you're going to take a couple of sales from me. If you're going to invest in this hobby that we all want to see pushed into the next generation, more power to you, you know? And your exclusive's different than ours. And so I don't see it as much competition. I see it just as another player trying to make some money in the slot car world to try to get this hobby that we all love into the next generation kind of thing.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
So I kind of get excited. There has been one or two exclusives that I've been like, man, I wish we did that. But it is what it is. I don't understand the unpainted chassis. I don't understand those exclusives though. That's one thing I'll say. That's kind of like one pet peeve of mine is like, if you were to ask me like, what's your pet peeve about all the exclusive? It's the unpainted pit kits. I'm like, what? How's that an exclusive? There's like a couple of unpainted pit kits out there, so those are kind of weird.
Here's a good one from Adam. And also a nice compliment from Bill. And another thing I think is important to mention about Auto World is we're a bunch of slot car guys, but I don't want to say that we forget, but Auto World is some of the 164 diecast cars they're putting out right now are just fabulous cars, and they're really sought after. And there's guys all over the internet, making videos of these Auto World diecast cars. And I say that to say that Auto World does have some issues slot car wise, and I think we'd all like to see some more innovation, but they're certainly going in the right direction. And they certainly have, if you look at their Johnny Lightning line, or you look at their Polar Lights, or you look at their Auto World, they and their Auto World diecast, there's some very high quality there that a lot of people are sought after. And I would like to see AFX do more, but like you said, they just kind of seem to be languishing. I see they're supposed to be out a new digital lap counter. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that.
I don't want to trash on any brand. AFX makes a great product. But like I said, it's like, just be content with what they give you, because you're only getting a little bit every once in a while. And that's where I think they both. I'm really happy they both exist, because you get the more performance oriented. Definitely not greater quality. So like dealing with emails, Auto World and AFX have the same quality issues. Like, well, I'll tell you what, I've personally never dealt with a blown out motor from an Auto World car. I'll tell you how many I've gotten plenty of blown out. It's that little circuit board that was blown out on the FX cars. It's like I get warranty issues on both sides. I'm not trying to say AFX is worse by any means. Our world has their problems, especially when you're talking about the T-Jet rumble in the rear. I call that the rumble in the rear, where they kind of just get some of those tolerances just a little bit buttoned up. But they both have their problems. But I think they both serve a really good purpose.
Are there any partnerships and collaborations with manufacturers that you feel positively impacted your car sales? And I would probably say Auto World, right? You guys have a pretty good relationship with round two.
Yeah, round two is pretty awesome. However, to your point about they're a bigger company than slot cars, like slot cars is actually a very small part of their company. So even like our relationship with round two, even the way they view us, we really only moved their slot cars. Like, yeah, we have some models, yeah, we have some diecast, but like our biggest thing that we're moving for them is their smallest mover, essentially. Like they're super happy that we're moving this product for them, but it is a smaller part of their company, and that's where, with as you saw Robert Fish say, they dropped more product they have in the last few years. That's I would say that's a direct result of what we're doing at Pro Tinker Toys, and my dad encouraging them to drop more and more and more and come out with their own exclusives. Like that was my dad pushing them. Like, hey, guys, these people are screaming for more. You got to give them more, guys. You guys got to give them more, and they dump more. You know. Same with the updated. I know we bring this up almost every time, but this was such a silly thing for them not to have done in the first place. But just immediately after meeting with my dad, they fixed the flamethrower chassis. And what a silly design before too. That was but that goes back to it being not their main line. If it was their main line, slot cars, that would have been fixed immediately.
Well, it does.
But
I'm working on a round two. It's pretty much done. I keep kind of trying to make it look a little more nicer, professional. But after I did all that research on round two, it kind of puts in perspective, their market and what they do and everything else, models and diecast, and then the slot cars are down here.
right.
But yeah, I think that they have. I think we've seen a lot of good things the last few years. I know a lot of people would like to see digital or maybe some innovation in the track. I just don't. What do you think about it? Do you have any thoughts on either of those two?
Digital. So the only thing if you talk to me about digital and slot cars, the only way I'm gonna ever get excited is if you're talking the original SCX 132nd, their digital system from back when I was growing up,
With
because
the pit
that was
boxes
the
and
greatest
everything?
system. That was the greatest system ever created, and nobody's ever going to be able to touch that. Um, Obviously, you can't keep it running if you don't have parts coming constantly, and that's what killed it. Wider track sounds good. That sounds like a good idea from Shift, but a lot of people don't want to update their track. And the T-Jet, the cars that I like the most, run fine on this style track. That's the problem with these AFX and even the X-Traction cars, is they're just too dang wide. So I agree, to get these other cars working better, some wider track would be nice. Round two, 180. Awesome. They are cool. But real innovation as far as coming, I don't see it happening this year. I don't see a lot. I think this year is going to be more of a recoup year, and then next year we're going to be able to start really getting, because there's just I think it would be more next year is when we see a lot more. The biggest thing this year was that love set. That was pretty huge. A giant a giant company hopping on to slot cars. Getting more of that into the slot cars is what's going to push innovation, and we need to see more of that. And the fact that they're coming back for more is the best news for slot cars right now. And it's not. What's that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you. Do you?
I was going to say you were kind of and I'll share my story after you. You and I were kind of front and center on that Love's truck deal that very first day. Would you like to kind of talk about the craziness of how everyone was acting with those Love's trucks? And just, it's a good deal for the hobby to have everyone so passionate about something rushing out. And
yeah, people want to get mad at the well, even people got mad at us for selling them, but I listed like four of them, or five. I listed five to club members I started at $169.99 with the Mayflower. And we sold all 5 of them in the first hour. Like literally, I listed it and then they were gone within an hour. And I'm like, okay. And that was just to our club members. That wasn't even released to everybody, our club members. And that's where it comes down to, like, okay, so how do I release these fairly when people are willing to just, like, not only do they want it, they they don't care what price you're putting on it sometimes. And that's where, as a toy store, we got to make our margins. Some guy posted like a hate comment on it. Not a hate comment, but he was just like, why are you making a profit on it? I'll read you the response I wrote. This kind of just sums up what running a toy store is like, though. Trucking. Because this will answer a lot of questions based on just like buying and selling. That's our business model. That's how I feed. How I make sure Mac gets his food in the morning. Is like I buy something for a price and then I try to double that price, and that's how all the stores around me make money. That like in the coffee business here, so like I deal with a lot of coffee people. I know the people growing the coffee. I've helped them plant the coffee, and you can get raw coffee for 10 pesos, and that's just raw coffee beans, 10 pesos. And then you have somebody that wants to cook the coffee to turn it into a roast thing, right? That's 100 pesos for roasted coffee. Now you have somebody that wants to sell it to people. Now it's 200 pesos a bag. So the first guy, from the raw material to the cooked, it goes up the largest margin because now it's a cooked product. Now your margins keep slimming down as it goes from person to person. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
It started at 10 from people who picked and planted it, went from 10 to 100 to 200. And I'm not the sucker who bought it for 200, but I'm the consumer who wants coffee every morning, and 200 is the price I can get it for.
I used to own for many years a construction company, and we got pretty large at one point. My older brother and I, and it was nothing. We had a saying: everybody wants a $1,500 bathroom remodel for $300. And then we'll get mad when you don't do that. So, there's like everything. There's all kinds of sides to the story and everything. Here's what I know about the Loves trucks. I watched that stream where you and your dad bought a bunch that day. Well, later after that afternoon, after I got done working and doing other things, I believe I started dinner, and then me and my daughter jumped in the car and we ran about 15 miles away to a Love's, and they were already sold out. And so we came back. I was a little bummed out. I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, I put everybody to bed that night, and I waited till my wife fell asleep. And at about 11 o'clock that night, I drove to another town, and I was able to get a Love set. And they were disappearing very, very fast. And that was the very first night. That was the very same day that you and your dad were driving back from Vegas.
And I did tell him to start only getting 3 at each one. The first one, he was just super excited. There was no calming him down. He wanted all 6, and he got all 6. But the other 3 or 4 stores that we stopped at, we only got 3 at each location. Which
America.
at this point,
here.
At this point, looking back, I just wish we would have grabbed them all because there's still 95. Or last week there was 95 left. I have the store list. I gotta post that. I was gonna put it on one of our email, but there's 95 left out there, in all the stores. So out of 1,600, only 95 left after 2 months. Like that's
these last 2 Saturdays. I have taken my 2 oldest sons down to Texas for Thanksgiving week. I drove 350 miles to Dallas, met their grandmother, and then drove 350 miles back that day. And each day I stop at the Loves. Each time I make that drive, I'll stop at the Loves. That's that exit. I can't find any. I did get here. I'll show you. Oh, where's that Supra at, Ben? There it is. I was able to get this.
Oh, nice, yeah, a Supra for $25.99 or whatever, or $24.99.
Yeah,
Which, man, I wish we would have grabbed the freaking display cases. Man, I think those are going to be worth a pretty penny. Like, not like a lot, but like to have in a collection, I think they would. I'm not going to like say they would be worth a ton of money or anything, but just like the Love's car display case, it would just be fun to have in your collection for your cars. Next to your Love set. That's what I always thought. But this is what somebody said. Because we don't have any more that we're going to sell, but we have it listed at like $189.99 right now with a Mayflower. So it comes with the truck and a Mayflower, with the set and the Mayflower. And he's like, AFX, that's his name, is just AFX, which AFX doesn't even make trucks anymore. So just be happy Auto World's making trucks. But why are you price gouging this set? Original price is $74.95 at Love's Truck Travel Stop. And then I just answered, because there's demand for it, and I need to feed 5 families, of which the proceeds went to delivering food on the table of. Everything in my store is higher than I bought it. That is how you keep the lights on. ProTinkerToys.com. like yes, I everything in, just like newsflash, guys, everything in our store is, we bought it for lower than we're selling it to you. That's everything. So just and that's everybody who has a business. That's how they keep the lights on.
Absolutely.
Now there's some people who just like do it as a hobby and do it for fun, and they'll like auction cars and just kind of like do this like fun thing. That's called a hobby. This isn't my hobby. This is my business. This is how I feed my family. And the guy doing it for a hobby, he has a day job. This is our day job. We make money off these cars.
No, I agree. I agree with Adam.
Neither one is good or bad. That's just what people want to do with their time. They were priced pretty good at the Loves. If you can get that set, and not even from us, if you can find that set for $200 or lower, buy it if you want it. Because next year you will not be able to get it for under $200. So if you want that set, and if you're going to be wanting that set next year, you better get it for under $200. You better be happy with under $200, because that's a fact. If someone is willing to pay, I don't blame anyone.
Yeah,
right. That's a thing.
Yeah, that's just the way that goes, And some people like that interaction of raffles and what do you call it? Bidding. And here's a question for you. What advice do you have for aspiring slot car enthusiasts looking to start or enhance their collections? And how do you feel like perhaps Pro Tinker Toys facilitates this? Besides
so what we do, so we'll get guys who are like, hey, I've been out of the hobby for X amount of years, and tell me if this is the guy or not the guy that he's referring to. And I'll get the call, and he's like, I really want to get back into it. I retire next year. How do I really get back into it right and get a good collection to start off with? And I tell them right away, get 2 sets. And for some people, your mouth might drop, but this is what I tell them, and this is 50% of the time what they go with. I tell them, get the Victory 400, and then I tell them to get the Super International. Because both those cars and both those sets, all those cars are worth basically as much as the set's worth. Like, not really, obviously, but those cars are going to be valuable all the time. Awesome cars. And you now have all the track you want to do whatever you want with. Not only that, you have the 4 controllers, the AFX controllers, and you have the wireless controllers. So depending on where you want to go with that, some people like the wireless, some people like the wired. If you're going to be one of the people that really like the wired, you're probably going to go the more AFX route anyway. So now you have your AFX controllers. Now, if you're one of the people that really like the wireless, you're probably going to lean more towards the T-Jet type cars and the lower performance. I'm not even going to say lower performance, just lower speed cars. And so, but you'll get everything. You have 8 cars right off the get, and then you have enough track to do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, there would be a lot of track. I mean, there's I think the Victory 400, it's a just under 9 feet, and then just over 4 feet layout. So
it fits a 4x8 sheet of plywood perfect with the little wireless module hanging off just a little bit.
yes, it does about like that. That's what I have. I have the Victory 400.
I watched you set it up on one of your streams one time.
Yeah, I still like it. And matter of fact, my son was racing the Mayflower truck, and what other car were you racing? I think Tony Stewart. I think they were racing Tony Stewart in the Mayflower truck. What?
If your wireless controller won't charge anymore, I would contact them. Like I said, their support's super awesome. With us, we would probably ask that you send. I think we would just have you send them all back to us, and then we'd just replace the whole, unit for unit kind of thing. Which Auto World might. That's a good question. That I will personally bring up with Auto World. With the lady I deal with. Right, with the warranty thing. So if it's under warranty, they'll fix it. I just don't know how they would exactly fix it. But they'll make sure you're good if your thing won't charge anymore. That's the thing about Auto World. Like, I've never had them be like, I'll send them be like, hey, we got this that needs fixed or something, and she's like, okay, just let me know what it is, and they credit us for the whatever it is. And so, like, we've never been like, are you sure? And AFX is the same way. The only thing, AFX prefers the customer dealing directly with them. But if, our customer will not deal with AFX and is demanding that we handle it, which we get that. And like, we understand it, but we'd prefer you deal with AFX just because they asked us to deal with them. But even with them, it's like, hey, this customer had this broken. Can you fix this? And that's where that is.
Gotcha. How do you envision the future of slot car industry and PTT's role in shaping and contributing to that growth and evolution?
Well, so I think building the shows like we're doing is important. But the problem is really getting the new people into it, and I think that starts with really getting back into like malls and stuff. But like, I don't know. It's a super complicated question because it's like, what do we do? And part of it's, well, what are you guys doing? Like, are you guys like a big part of it lies on the shoulder of the consumers of like, hey, you guys have the product now. Are you inviting people over to play with it? Like, are you making the time Friday night to bring the guys over? Are you inviting your grandchildren over to play with this stuff? Like, and not that you should or shouldn't be, just like, that's how it's going to grow, is by the consumers who have it actually inviting people to play with it. And like, breaking cars, like, hey, when your grandchild breaks that beautiful 55 Bel Air of yours, how are you going to react? Is it going to be, okay, that we have more of those, or are you going to make it a bad experience for them? And that's where it's kind of on everybody and their individual relationships with whoever they're introducing slot cars to. That's how it's going to build, and that's how it's going to get more out there.
Agreed. I think that was an awesome answer, by the way. Okay. If you could put anything on a t-shirt, what would it be? Any saying, any logo, what would it be?
Why? Who's asking that?
Oh, it's just me.
Oh, is this like a slot car theme thing or what?
Yeah. If you could put anything on a slot, anything slot car related on a t-shirt, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Well, I might just have to, just because I didn't have any chance to think of it, I just have to say like our ProTinkerToys.com logo. Like, we have that awesome rash guard. Have you seen our rash guards?
Mm-hmm.
It just has like the logo all over the shirt. Those are cool. Buy two, Adams.
That is both those are good suggestions. Hit the cowbell and buy two.
I haven't hit like yet.
I think I'm going to start asking that because there's a guy that does interviews in like the tabletop or RPG industry, like D&D,
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of one of his last questions he asked everybody. Hey, if you could put anything on a t-shirt, what would it be? And I just, if I'm being honest, I just enjoy listening to the answers, because sometimes people give wild and just good, crazy ideas, and then inventive and creative. It's just funny.
Yeah, I didn't give you very inventive one. But yeah, that's what I got for you. Do you have anything else for me? Anything? Any? Well, I don't know. Whatever you got.
I pretty much kind of, I had some questions. I had tried to get your brother. I tried to get him to do an interview a couple months ago, and he's like me. He's got a lot of kids, so getting those things to line up at night is kind of
Well,
hard. So
I
I had those
told him.
questions,
I
and
told him, and he told me he's gonna make time. We're gonna just overall be get better. By the way, Scott, I thought I saw Scott's
Scott was
house
here.
was. Yeah, so I'm gonna make sure my dad gets on his because he emailed me a while back. Just getting them just getting it orchestrated. Emailing me at professtinker@gmail.com is the best way to do it. But I want to try to get my dad on all these other streams. Obviously, we're a little overworked right now because they're what they would be like kind of paying another employee. They're kind of paying me. And so that's where kind of we are a little bit pinched on labor because I'm not actually providing manual labor right now. So that's kind of holding us back from growth a little bit right now. So, keeping in everybody's prayers to get us all back in the timing that God wants, obviously. So, but hopefully that all works. I have a request for Daniel. Hey, can you have your dad do all day live? He's nuts. But either way, Ryan says he's going to do your live stream. Is this when you do it all the time, Wednesday at 7?
Yeah, I may. I was thinking while I was cooking dinner, right about the time I texted you and said, "Hey, I'm running a few minutes. I'm trying to finish dinner." I may eventually maybe move it to 8 o'clock, just because it's easier with kids
Okay.
and dinner and bedtimes. And I was changing a diaper and trying to scrape kitchen plates as I was trying to send this link. So you get that, you know.
Not totally yet. Mine's easy right now. Remember, he's just a little baby. And my wife's super on top of things. God bless me with a awesome wife. Very, very happy with my wife. Very, very, very happy.
Well, just remember,
She,
happy wife, happy life. That's a true story.
I don't know if I totally agree with that, but yeah, sometimes
You don't have to
women don't
agree
like
with
to
it.
be
Just
happy. I always tell people it's our job as the man to be happy for the women because they don't like being happy. Because I don't know if
I'm
you've
not
ever met a
touching that.
happy pregnant woman. my wife was not happy at all during the last pregnancy, but I was happy for her, so she was allowed to be upset. So
It is. Tom's right. It's a isolated job. Fathering can be a very isolated, lonely job at times. The dad don't get to cry to anybody. All right.
That's too good.
Hey, I do have one more.
All right.
Customer feedback. How do you feel like it informs your store's decisions regarding slot car products and offerings?
I'm glad you brought up customer feedback because it's not a direct question. It's it's a direct question, but the answer is so, and I hate saying this because I hate people who tell me this, but the answer is complicated because it's the squeaky wheel syndrome. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, even though maybe the other three wheels needed it more. The one making the most noise is going to get the grease. And that's where like our main customer base, so like the people who complain about pricing, that's not, aside from I'm not gonna say exactly how many, aside from a couple people that they barely touch our main customer base, the people who complain about a certain price or a certain something. And I've been on the phone with certain people who like bid it on an item, and they'll be like, I know I paid double the price for that. And I did it because I like to support you guys. And that's like a lot of the people I talk to, and a lot of the people I see the emails from, is there are people like that who are like, I don't care if I doubled the price on that auction car. I wanted the car, and two, I'm glad that money's going to you guys. And I get that a lot. So like any of the negative kind of stuff that we might see on the live stream sometimes is kind of just a part of the show. If the problem's big enough, like there's been times where like we'll like see something and just be like, okay, let's try to address that. But like at the same time too, like if we have a problem, it's like a problem, and like we're trying to address it to begin with. And if it's a problem, like it's not that we haven't addressed it, but like we're in the process of trying to figure out how to address it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yes.
Like just because we haven't fixed the problem doesn't necessarily mean we're not listening to you guys. It just means like we physically might not be able to fix it at the moment,
No,
even if we could. And that's where we definitely try to listen to like what our customers are saying. I probably like when I'm at the store, I probably listen to you guys too much because like I got to get stuff done, and I'm like yakking away for hours, and I should be packing, and that sometimes gets us in trouble, especially with Mac and Ryan. Ryan will talk to you all day. Like I at least know how to say bye sometimes. Ryan will literally be on your ear. Like if you do not tell him bye, he will just keep talking because we're generally interested in what you guys have to say. So like we're like super interested in this thing that we all share and all love, but like we also got to get back to work. So we definitely listen. We try to fix what we try to fix the squeaky wheels, but we're also trying to keep the other wheels greased too at the same time. And that's where like I have been to a couple. I was at the flamethrower meeting where my dad was bringing up the flamethrower. So like that's where I can kind of like testify to that in person. Like my dad brought the chassis and was like, "Hey, this needs wired here, not here. This bad design because car bumps." And so, and it was just funny that I'm like looking at it and kind of like, yeah. But that goes back to the understanding of slot cars isn't their number one business. And so like the fact that they gave slot cars as much attention as they did this year, literally that, and that's where my dad kind of toots his own horn sometimes. It's like because he did, like they did it because he was in their ear the whole time. So like that's the thing. I miss Daniel's live racing videos. I got my setup. I want to do some more videos on this set. I'm trying to do more video because this is like a set we've really been pushing lately. I don't think I have it hooked up right now. No, I don't, because my son grabbed this and just kind of pulled. It was super cute. It wasn't like malintent yet, so that's why I wasn't upset at him. But so the all the things good. Otherwise, I would have showed you it. But this is the Scooby-Doo set, and it comes with the I don't know where it is. Where's the? This comes with Scooby-Doo car and the Scooby,
And the Batman car.
Batman car, which I don't see anywhere. It's
He
probably
probably
under the
made off
table.
with it.
That's what I was thinking, right when you said that. No, it's over here in pieces.
Uh-oh.
This was the most disappointing
Raffle
thing.
it off.
Here we go. No, my Lorenzo is the one apart. Because that body or that chassis runs really good. My best running chassis right now is this guy here.
Is that one of those Hot Wheels?
Yeah, this is my
Wheels?
favorite Hot Wheels of the series.
Yeah, I need to pick up a couple of those.
Do it now because I have them at a great deal on our website right now. Like no joke. Like literally get off the live stream and get like 50 of them.
Oh, I don't. Groceries are a little too high for that, but I wish.
No, look at the price I have on it, and then know that your Tinker 10 is going to give you 20% off, and then be like, oh wow, now I see why you said get 20 of them.
Right?
What do I have those at right now? Let's see.
Hey, when do you think you guys will
380.
get any more 18-inch bank curves anytime?
I don't know much about track. Did we ever have them? Track's not. I'm not the track guy.
I think so.
If we've had them in the past, I imagine if they were out of a specific set, 382. Remember, Daniel, buy two. No, 20. 20. I'm a 20 guy. I'm not just a 2 guy.
Shifts a 50 guy.
50. There you go. Hey, Rob. All scale slot cars. Who's all scale slot cars? Only see that in the Winged Warriors. Okay, so is Winged Warriors, is that an 18-inch? Because I don't really know like what size the banks are.
Go ahead.
What's the bank size in the Winged Warrior set?
It's 18-inch.
Okay, so at some point I could see us taking apart Winged Warrior sets.
Okay.
But yeah. Have you thought about just getting a Winged Warrior set though? Do you have one?
I'm going to probably right around Christmas time. I'll get some more money at some point, and then I will buy a set. I wish I could have bought one over the sale. We were buying all the kids stuff, and you got 5 kids, that adds up pretty quick.
I imagine. Ryan's there. He just announced.
Yeah, he knows. He gets it.
He's not quite there yet. You're one step ahead of him, or you're quite a few more steps ahead of him. But yeah, so we have those going for the Camaro SS for $20 right now with the 20% off from the Tinker Club.
So it's like $16, $17 for those. That's a good deal. That's better than Hobby Lobby.
That's what I'm saying. Like people, like when we do our sales, we do them good. We do good sales. We don't make any money on them, but we do good sales.
I like it.
Yeah. But see,
Auto World sold that set behind you, and they sold out very fast for I think it was like $89 on Black Friday.
Black Friday, we had it going for 80 because we had it for 100, and with the Tinker 10, we were getting 20% off.
Yeah,
like right now,
I think they listed it at 89 on Auto World store, and it sold out just like that. I was a little shocked.
I think I know your order. He bought 30 of the same car. I think he bought 30 of the same car. And I was gonna ask him if he minds us switching those up. If he just wants the chassis, I don't know. It really doesn't matter though. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Like right now, you can buy that set with your Tinker Club membership for $80 from our website. Just because I haven't put the sale back yet.
What do you think the chances of getting some more distributorship in the Outback?
The Outback?
Australia?
I don't know. Well, they stopped the Outback set, so like I whatever that means, right? Like they stopped production of the Outback. What's that?
Is that? Are you talking about the 2 trucks?
Yeah. So whatever that Outback.
Is that uncommon?
They stopped it way sooner than they have other sets. Like
that's not a good sign.
The Ice Road Trucker set ran for quite a while. That's been discontinued. That got discontinued around the Speed vs. Endurance one. But for the trucker set to be, I don't think it melded with a lot of people. The Ice Road Trucker one, we sold a ton of those. Because a lot of people, Ice Road Truckers, and like it's a fun set. But like Australian Outback really didn't hit home to many Americans. means more sales to Australia. Yeah, I don't know. Just us, we don't sell a lot. Like we do have Australian customers, but it's not like a huge part of our market. Definitely have more Canadians than Australians.
That
More
slot
sellers.
car guy he's a big slot car YouTube channel from Australia. And he actually lived in Europe for a little bit this summer, I believe.
So why doesn't he start a slot car store? Well, he should get a hold of my dad and try to figure out some pricing and actually start a store there.
Like a distributorship. Hold on just a second, Daniel.
Yeah, that slot car guy. Why don't you just start your own little hobby store? Like that's how it starts. Is like one person does it, and then like people see it successful, and another person does it. Yeah, BCY service should sell to him. We would. We have no problem doing that. I don't know what shipping to Australia is like. That has to be decently expensive. But we offset shipping with product and stuff like that. So
Sorry, my wife just got home from work. I was walking around. Yeah, and in a lot of his videos, he actually discusses saying, and he talks about getting Auto World and AFX, trying to get them there. He's been buying a bunch of older AFX and Auto World sets, because slot cars in general is growing.
yeah, it does seem to be the trend. So that's good for anybody with a collection because that means your collection is only going to get that's the biggest thing about the love set. That's why my dad was so excited about the love set. Is like anybody in slot cars is gonna benefit from bigger retailers getting into slot cars because it just means more people are interested in slot cars. And that's why stuff like that is big. Matt, you are such a Kenny Brown says you are such a great guy and husband.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's not easy. Does anyone in the chat have any questions for Daniel?
Well, I guess I got a question for you. What are the biggest? Because I deal with the customer support, right? Being here in Mexico, what are the biggest? Do you hear many complaints from people about Pro Tinker toys that I could address, or any concerns that people have that maybe I could answer a question to, or just general dissatis? I can't say the word. It's funny, speaking Spanish all the time makes my English worse.
I think that if anything, I hear it's a price thing, but I don't. That's not localized to Pro Tinker. It's across the board, everything, whether it be hobbies, toys, food, rent, insurance. I just got a letter. Today saying my house insurance is going to double in January, and this is after our car insurance tripled this year. So I think and I don't want to ever be the guy that touches on politics or economy because nothing can really stop what's coming anyways. And so I would just say that it's just a tough time. And pricing across the board on everything is tough. And so that's just kind of the way it is. And people in the last 3 years, they found a way to stay home and spend a little less money and have some community and some fellowship. And I think it's really, really pretty neat. And I can't speak for anybody else. But I tell you that I was looking through, yes, every hobby is expensive. I was actually looking through train videos because I had just bought a Harry Potter train and I was going to make a Harry Potter layout. And I stumbled upon your dad in the flag parade videos. And then I just started looking. I kind of went down the rabbit hole of all these slot car layouts, and here it is 3 years later, and I love slot cars. My wife has printed me out mouse pads. with my little logo on it. So yeah, it's a lot.
So now you have mouse pads with your own logo on it. Nice. I don't even have a mouse pad with our logo on it. What the heck?
I know. Well, we'll have to get you one. We'll have to send you one.
But I like the mouse mat though. So keep that in mind. Like an oversized mouse pad that fits the laptop and your keyboard and everything.
Whole big thing.
Like,
yeah.
Well,
does anyone oh, let me click there. You're in.
See. That's kind of my setup.
Very cool.
And then, but man, one last thing to say. This is my first loop I've ever had. And that loop is the funnest thing in the world. Me and my wife were up here the other night racing these cars. And I know this isn't a lot of time, but she raced for a solid 30 minutes. That's the longest she's ever raced with me.
My wife has never raced with me. I've always kind of waited till maybe I got a drink in or something, and I think she probably would. She did run across, I can't remember if it was Racetrack Scenics or if it was Magnetic Racings, but one of them has a Ferris wheel, and I think that may induce her into racing all by itself. And I got this, I don't know if you can see because I have all the lights. I built a new table. I'm going to.
Where do I see you?
Right here. Yeah, let me see if I can turn the light on. There we go. Can you see now? There we go. And then I got this table right here. That track behind me there.
Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I haven't really seen you the whole time. On the YouTube, I see me. And then on our StreamYard, I only see me.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, my bad. I'm a noob when it comes to this. So there's this new table I built right here. There.
Okay, great. Okay, now I see.
And then there's the other track all the way over there.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, so you have a whole garage. I got moved to the upstairs. And so I have like a lot more room to do stuff. So I need to have, my dad might be coming for Mac's birthday at January 9th. But now I have, this is kind of like my setup. And then I have my workstation. It's super dirty because I'm still figuring out how to get it. And Mac was playing down there. And he just plays with stuff. But I had to feel it. I had the ceiling coming in on me because this place is all concrete. And so I had to like put these things up to collect the dust because it was really getting bad. And I'm not going to like fix the ceiling here because I'm only planning on being here for a couple more months.
No, we're talking about moving perhaps back to Texas here in a few months. So I've been remodeling a bunch of the house. So I get that.
Oh, you got to move to Ohio. I know some awesome slot car people there.
It's cold there.
No, it's only as cold as the clothes you allow. I can tell.
What's it say?
Here, I can tell you what I really like about PTT is that you. Oh, okay. Because we're ahead of the curve with what Auto Rub is coming out with. Yeah, I like that too.
I like all scale slot cars too.
Adam says 1/32 or HO. So back to what I was saying about SCX. If you have an SCX digital system from that time, SCX is hands down the best slot car experience you'll ever experience with the pit step where you click on the back and refill your car, and as you run out of gas, it sputters down, and the lane switching with the click on the back, 1/32 all day long. However, I don't know how you even get that stuff anymore, and if you can. And even if you could get it all, you won't be able to keep it all running because the things fry, the command center fries all the time, you know?
Well, I think they've moved on, which the one you're talking about, then they went to the WOS system, and now they're on that new advanced system, and they're all different my understanding is they're different ownership groups, or this new one is the actual licensee. And so there's no support for any of the older systems.
So unless it's the first digital system, I don't know anything about it, because that's what I played with when I was a kid, when my dad was running the tech support for it. And I saw the tech support he had to deal with, fried chips, SCX had their problems, just like everybody has their problems with stuff from China. That's just what it is. But that was the funnest system, for sure, without a doubt. You can't have a better time slot card. However, that doesn't exist readily to anybody anymore. So, this is where we're at right now, and these little HO cards are fun. So, until a good 1/32 digital system comes out, I'm gonna just push people towards this, just because I think there's such, for the money, you can just do so much with it. Now, if you have an endless budget and you just do whatever you want, go get a 1/32, 1/24 Carrera track, and you can run all the cars you want all day long, and that you'll probably have the most fun with that. But you're looking at a much bigger investment, much larger footprint. And then for kids, I always tell kids 1/43 where you want to start your kids. Get them just any 1/43 kit, and don't even look at it as like an expansion thing. Just, okay, I'm going to get them started with 1/43. Here's a 1/43 set. Bash these cars up, maybe get a couple more cars, and expand only with cars, not really track. And that's where that Johnny Lightning set we sell so well. It's like, I just tell parents, like, kids, just 1/43. Just get one kit, boom, done. Get them into it with a 1/43 second set. How long? First time this Jack had to be part of it. Jack Nelson, welcome.
Yes.
I think he's bought from Pro Tinker Toys before.
His name. Yeah, when he says long-time viewer, I think he's talking about you guys, right?
Oh yeah, his name looks super familiar. Yeah, Robert Fish. Who's that?
Sorry. See if that's better, Robert.
Which back to talking about getting us more streams and stuff. Slot Valley Racing, I'd love to get my dad on your stream sometime. I've talked to him. We're him hopping on Matt's stream to begin with was like the first step in the right direction. I want him to do Scott's screen, and I want him to get on Slot Valley Racing and just start doing like a round of streams, just kind of pushing around the and I'll start sharing the streams on Facebook too. I gotta get better at that. And then I think I was gonna ask you, do you have any problem with me, any product reviews? Like you have like Victory 400 product review. Do you have any problem with me putting that into our information on Victory 400?
No,
like
not at all.
Putting a link to that in our description of that?
No, not at all.
Because I might start including other people's reviews, just so it's not so biased towards our review. How much? Yeah, that looks like Matt. Looks like you're sitting by a campfire.
Oh, awesome! Thank you, Jack. Does it still look like that, Bob, or does it a little bit better because I turned off that big LED light? Adam over here. I don't want him.
He will not be on Adam's stream. So, hey, well, hey, Jack. There we go. Well, cool. This was a lot of fun. I think we should go ahead and close it up. I'll go check on my wife, and if you have any last minute things, it's fine. It looks like everybody's kind of.
Yeah,
but I'd really like to. I'd like to get people. I'd like to get Dad, Brian Young on more streams. So send an email to like professtinker@gmail.com if you want to try to get him scheduled to show up on a stream. Can't guarantee it. He, like, you guys know how he is. He's not acting. He's just as wild as he is on the stream in real life. Like, there's no difference. Anybody who's met him knows that. But he himself he said he had a blast talking with you, and he'd love to do that with more people.
That's awesome. I think it's good for the hobby. Everybody just kind of get around, and it's good. It's good,
Yeah, I think it's great. Yep.
Well,
All right.
Danny,
Well, Matt, it was a fun chat with you. I'll let you send us out.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and for speaking. I think it went very well. Thank you very much. Dan, thank you for moderating. Thank you everyone who came and stopped by and visited with us. We sure do appreciate it. And remember that racing is life. Thanks, everyone.